Welcome to this Masterclass Explainer. Today, we are going to completely flip the script on how you think about selling. Sales usually gets a pretty bad rap, right? People often think it's all about aggressive manipulation or this zero-sum game where one person wins and the other just gets taken for a ride. But today, we're reframing that entirely. We're going to see how ethical selling is actually a value-driven, mutually beneficial exchange that builds real, long-term success. Seriously, if you've ever bought or sold anything, the principles we're about to cover are going to fundamentally change how you view those interactions.
Okay, let's kick things off with a really powerful thought from Dale S. Beach. He says that ethics refers to a set of moral principles which should play a very significant role in guiding the conduct of managers and employees in the operation of any enterprise. And honestly, this is absolutely crucial. It reminds us that ethics aren't just this personal, fuzzy feeling, they are the literal operational compass for a business. It's all about setting a standard of what ought to be done across the whole organization.
Here is the quick roadmap for our explainer today. First, defining ethics in sales. Second, the win-win of ethical selling. Third, core ethical sales behaviors. Fourth, ethical and legal pitfalls. And finally, number 5, compliance and a code of conduct. Let's jump right into Section 1, defining ethics in sales.
So, what actually is ethical selling? Well, the biggest takeaway here is that it is not just some tactic you whip out when you're trying to close a tricky deal. It's an entire company philosophy. We're talking about value-oriented, clean, and completely transparent practices. It's a concrete promise to the customer. When a company truly commits to ethical selling, they're giving you their word that you won't be overcharged or exploited. You're treated with absolute respect and honesty from the very first hello.
You see, character and ideals form the absolute bedrock of professional integrity. We aren't just checking boxes on a contract here. We're talking about honesty, fairness, integrity, accountability, and having a real moral conscience. When these elements are actually in play, a salesperson completely transforms. They stop being just a persuader and start acting as a genuinely trusted advisor.
Moving right along to Section 2, the win-win of ethical selling.
What's super interesting about this whole ecosystem is that everybody wins. Literally. First off, the company builds immense goodwill, which secures long-term, stable revenue. Then, the salesperson earns incredibly loyal clients, builds amazing rapport, and, let's be real, earns much higher commissions because of all that repeat business. And the customer? They get a safe, pleasant experience where their interests are actually protected. Nobody loses.
And hey, we have the hard data to back this up. Findings from the Journal of Business Ethics show that when a brand acts with real responsibility and honesty, customers get emotionally attached. They actually become way less sensitive to price differences. They perceive the quality of the service as superior, they feel more empathy and satisfaction, and they become fiercely loyal, spreading positive word of mouth like wildfire. Ethical behavior literally boosts the bottom line. Let's dive into Section 3, core ethical sales behaviors. Let's bring this down to earth with a real-world example. Take Raj from Star Enterprises. He was selling locally manufactured electronics. A prospect named Sonali came in asking about his products, and Raj did something that totally shocked her. He flat out admitted his unbranded electronics had mediocre performance. Seriously. He didn't hide the truth just to make a quick buck. And guess what happened? Sonali was so blown away by his transparency that she placed a massive order anyway, and then recommended Raj to all her friends.
So, that really makes you stop and think, right? What truly makes a seller dependable to a consumer like Sonali? Is it having this slick, flawless, heavily rehearsed pitch that promises the absolute moon? Or is it brutal honesty that manages expectations and builds genuine credibility?
As Raj proved, brutal honesty and clear information build long-term trust way faster than a deceptive pitch ever could. These core behaviors are literally your toolkit for success. It's about building reliability, actually owning up to your mistakes, and giving clear, true information. Oh, and here's a big one, being honest about your competitors without bad-mouthing them. Trashing the competition doesn't make you look better, it just makes you look desperate and unethical. You build a lasting career by fulfilling your promises and handling objections with genuine patience.
Let's look at two totally different approaches here. On one hand, you've got sales puffery, relying on vague, boastful claims to close a deal. It's when someone exaggerates and says their product is the absolute best in the universe. It creates false impressions. On the other hand, you have a solution-oriented attitude. This is where you focus on concrete facts and genuinely address the customer's unique problems, which puts them completely at ease.
Which brings us to Section 4, ethical and legal pitfalls.
Now we need to talk about the villains of commerce, the traps that completely destroy goodwill. And honestly, some of these cross the line from just bad ethics straight into illegal territory. We're talking price discrimination, where you charge different people different prices just based on their bargaining power. There's outright bribery. Then you have manipulative tie-in sales, forcing a customer to buy junk they don't want just to get the product they actually need. And don't even get me started on artificial scarcity, like hoarding products to fake demand or selling hazardous stuff. It is a massive violation of trust.
And when we zoom into the digital world, it gets even crazier. We're seeing a massive rise in online frauds, misrepresentation, and just straight-up aggressive invasion of privacy. I mean, getting bombarded by spam emails and texts is a severe ethical issue. But consider the ethical counter-approach: permission marketing. When you as a consumer opt in and experience permission marketing, instead of getting spammed to death, you are seeing ethical compliance in action. It actually respects your boundaries.
It's also super important to understand the psychology behind persuasion, like the foot in the door technique. This is a strategy where you get someone to agree to a tiny request first just to secure a much bigger commitment down the line. It's a really powerful psychological tool, but it proves exactly why maintaining that ethical foundation is so critical. Because persuasion techniques work, and because they work, they absolutely must be wielded with total integrity and respect for the buyer, never just to manipulate them.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5 Compliance and Code of Conduct.
So how do we actually enforce all of this? Well, you need clear, non-negotiable boundaries. The do's are your proactive steps. Be transparent, respect customer privacy, and hustle to solve their problems quickly. The don'ts are your guardrails. Never give false promises. Don't hide the facts. And seriously, avoid bluntly criticizing your competitors. Having this stark comparison written out helps keep every single salesperson grounded in reality and respect.
When you put it all together, it builds this incredible organizational fortress of compliance. Step 1. You protect your business right out of the gate by hiring the right people whose values align with yours. Step 2. You establish a firm, written code of conduct so expectations are crystal clear. Step 3. You actively train your team, maybe using approved templates so the messaging stays totally clean. And ultimately, Step 4, all of this creates a holistic culture of integrity where doing the right thing isn't just an option, it's just the normal way you do business.
So I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. The next time you're engaged in a transaction, whether you're the one buying or the one selling, ask yourself, are you truly fostering a long-term win-win relationship built on trust and accountability? Or are you just falling for the puffery? The choice between those two paths changes absolutely everything. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this empowers you to seek out and practice ethical selling in all your future endeavors.